Sonic.ly podcast, where music creators educate music creators. I'm Gina.
And I'm Elmo.
Today, we're incredibly excited to sit down with a sensational guest that has become synonymous with a heartfelt pop music that resonates deeply with listeners around the globe. She's a multi-talented singer-songwriter from Jakarta, Indonesia, who captivated the international fame with her viral hit, I Love You 3000, a song that not only showcased her melodic prowess, but also her ability to capture the nuances of emotion and storytelling within her music.
Her music can be characterized by its emotive lyricism and catchy melodies, speaking to a generation navigating the complexities of love, life, and self-discovery. With a growing discography that explores themes of young love, aspirations, vulnerability, she has not only built a strong discography, but has also formed a deep connection with her audience who see their own stories and experiences reflected in her songs.
In today's conversation, we'll dive into the journey from aspiring musician to global sensation, exploring the inspirations behind her music, her creative process, and how her multicultural background influences her artistry.
So without further ado, let's welcome the incredibly talented Stephanie Poetri to our show.
Woo! Woo! Hello, hello.
Hello. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, I guess I wanted to really talk to you about sort of like the beginning of everything to start. Did you grow up with music in your life?
Yes, I'm a Nepo baby. So my mom is a singer. So growing up, it was always around me. And then I didn't want to be a singer because of that. Like I really didn't want to be one of those people who just, did music because their parents did music. But as I grew older, I found that it was just such a huge passion of mine. But yeah, I found that I really wanted to do stuff in the background. Like I wanted to produce and I wanted to write for people. But I somehow just found being an artist kind of came supernaturally as well. So, it's I think music has always been a part of my life. And I'm glad that it's a bigger part now.
Yeah. What did your mom's version of music look like growing up compared to your version of music? And because I guess, just hearing what you were saying, like there was maybe a little bit of resistance, but then you sort of found your own way. So was there something that I guess was not agreeable to you, like early on?
Yeah, so my mom, she was very successful. She's very successful and she's so strong and so amazing. And I think I also just had that, insecurity with, I don't think I'm as strong as her. Like, I don't think I can handle a lot of the things that she could. And so I ended up just, also resenting all the people being like, you're going to be just like your mom. And I was like, that's too much for me to handle. Okay. And so, I definitely found myself being afraid of a music career, mostly because of things outside of music. Like, for example, being in the public's eye and then having stalkers and having, all these weird things happen to you. That has nothing to do with the music, at the end of the day. But then I think just how much I love making music ended up being what catapulted me into wanting to actually do it. But yeah, also I still think I'm not as strong as her. Like the things she had to go through, like being a female singer, especially in the 90s, like that, I don't know how she did it.
I mean, when you talk to her, does she talk about, you know what? You're so lucky, Stephanie. In my day, this is what we had to go through. Can you see sort of like the changes throughout time in terms of like what she had to go through and like what you're going through right now? Or
Yeah, I mean, I feel that way. Like, I definitely feel that I'm so privileged being a singer in today's day and age. But my mom is she's quite self-aware in the sense that she's she never really complains, and I think she's just happy one of her kids did music, because she has 4 kids, and at one point none of us wanted to do it, and she was like, no, like she really wants somebody who she could share it with. And no, she's like super, I think she's very intelligent in the way she understands how the music industry is. And so she's never like, oh, you're lucky these people, because she knows that, oh, now that we have all these new things, it also comes with a caveat. Like, she understands that in the past, if she signs with a label, they're able to like help the wheel turn for basically a long time. But now it's like, you have to do it all yourself, in a way. And so she's very respectful, especially she has a lot of respect as well for the younger generation, as do I. So yeah, but I definitely think in her days, like there was a lot of struggles that the artists of her time definitely tried to reduce for us, especially when it comes to like honestly like sexism and racism and all that stuff. So it's still not perfect, but it's way better than how it was.
Yeah, I can imagine. Was the education starting off with like doing music lessons, piano and or violin or in that type of like Asian quote unquote type of music, or did you
See,
like were you introduced to sort of the creative process right away?
no. So, yeah, it's so funny. Like my mom is the most opposite quote unquote Asian mom you will ever meet. Like I think you know what's so cool about her is that she definitely stopped the generational trauma. Like her mom was a very much like, quote unquote tiger mom, and was really like, you have to do, and I think she just had a lot of fear with being similar to that. And so I never had any instances where I was like forced to learn anything, which to an extent was actually detrimental, because now I like don't know anything about music theory, and like I had to learn it as an adult, which I feel like my mental dexterity wasn't as good as I was as a child. But yeah, no, I like didn't learn any music stuff growing up. I actually mostly learned about the industry just by being there. Like when she was like a judge on Indonesian Idol and stuff, like she would bring me, and so I would like get the vibes. But I never really learned anything in terms of like the theory. Which, I think also proves how much I love music, because I ended up wanting to learn it. Like when I graduated high school, I went and learned music as a producer. And my class was full of like other Asian kids who were like really like they played piano or guitar or violin or cello or whatever, and then I was just there like I can draw MIDI chords, yes. But I think either way, I'm proud of myself for ended like learning it at the end of the day.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, do you remember that first time that you discovered creativity with music? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
within that?
I remembered when I was young, I wrote a random song. Like I was like a child, and I remember I wrote a song about a princess's castle, but it was like literally like probably inspired from English class.
Nice.
Like I had English class, and I was like, oh my gosh, poetry! Like I could do this. And I really enjoyed just like making up stories, like and doing making poems and stuff.
I have
So
a feeling
that's
you
kind of
remember the lyrics of that song. Can we get a little
uh,
taste of the Princess
so
Castle song?
I don't remember the melody at all. I don't even think there was a melody. I think I was just like riffing. But I remembered like something about like my dress is pink, my crown is yellow, like stuff like that. My castle is white. Like just like I learned about colors
Like,
that
I'm
day, so I wanted
feeling
to write about
mellow.
it. Yeah. That's if I was too young to understand emotions,
Oh, right.
but
It was
if
all
I was a little bit
colors.
older, I would.
And then
Yeah.
the emotional colors came into play and formed together.
Exactly. It was actually just a metaphor.
Yeah.
So
From that point, from the Princess Castle song to now, you've had a legitimate run of amazing things happening in your career. What were some of the hardest moments in the journey to getting to where you are now today in being a renowned artist, songwriter, and all that? And how did you like overcome those hardships?
Yeah, so I mean, I want to preface everything by saying that I have such a huge privilege when it comes to music because of how I started. Um, Starting off, like my mom really helped me, and even with like I Love You 3000, she was actually the one that was like, no, please record it, like because originally it was just like a random story. So shout out, mom.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest hardship I've had is actually something that I think a lot of people haven't and won't go through, which is the realization that this isn't for me. So when I started doing a lot of music just for myself, like I said, I started off wanting to be more so in the background, like as a producer, as a writer, and then just being an artist like found itself. Um, I had to basically mature and realize that I don't think I can do this forever. And being in LA, I found a lot of friends who they could see themselves doing a stadium tour. They could see themselves like singing every day for the rest of their lives, like on stage. And they also loved like being in the studio and writing just for themselves, like being the focus of the room. And those three things I could not see.
Mm.
I don't enjoy performing the same way a lot of my peers do. When I perform, I feel like I'm working. Like I have to be here to entertain.
Yeah.
Whereas I have a lot of friends who are like, no, don't you get that like performance high? And I'm like, no, I like peeing my pants. Like, what are you talking about? And so, I realized that my passion is truly writing and producing. And I found that most people go from being a writer into an artist. And I'm finding myself being an artist wanting to focus more on writing for other people and producing for other people. And I think it took a lot for me to be able to say that, because it almost sounds like I'm giving up. Like a lot of people might be like, "Oh, you're giving up. Like you had like one song and like you're done." And at the end of the day, like that's not true. Like I really still want to put my own stuff out, and I almost appreciate it more because it's not the main thing I do anymore. Like when I put a song out, it's because I really like the song. I love it, not because I have to, because I'm a singer. But yeah, it definitely took a lot of courage and time to accept that I'm so lucky to have been given the opportunity to even know if I like being an artist. And I think a lot of people, spend their lives trying to achieve that goal. And then when they do, they realize like, oh, I don't really like this. And then but then it's like they're a lot older than I am. So, yeah.
So
it's a huge
yeah,
thing.
like what does that mean? What does that mean for you then now that you've come to this realization in terms of how you make your next 5 moves? Like are we gonna see like you for the most part in album credits of like these huge artists? Like you're gonna be the next Dr. Dre or something. Mrs. Dr. Dre, I don't know.
Mrs. Dr.
Yeah,
Dre.
or like, are you going to do a combination of things and just sort of like go by feel?
Yeah, so I think where I am right now is, just because this podcast is to, help the next generation of musicians. The economy, okay? You gotta live. So I make the most money as a singer right now, which is insane to say. Like it's usually the opposite. So I treat my career as a career, and so I will definitely keep putting music out. And I, still see myself like promoting it, and you'll probably see me still just as an artist. But rather than spending 6 days a week on my own project, now I'm spending like 2, and the other 4 I would be in a session writing for other people, or at home. Like I have like a YouTube channel for fun where I do arts and crafts now. So it's like I'm kind of just doing like a lot of stuff. That's not necessarily like decreasing the amount I do as an artist, but it's definitely like I'm trying to plant the seed for what I will be doing most of the time in 5 years.
So cool. Yeah, like everybody's journey is unique, and I love that you've been able to sort of reflect on these things and come to these conclusions, because sometimes it takes a long time to do that. You had mentioned the song I Love You 3000, and that went viral in 2019. Can you walk us through the creation story of that song? I love that song. Everybody loves that song. G.NA goes insane for that song. And
Thank
um,
you.
and the other thing that we're curious about is, as the song grew in popularity organically, how did your life change?
Yeah, so the way the song started was I almost have a script because of how often I explain this, but basically I was supposed to go out with friends. They bailed on me. I did a Q&A on Instagram. I asked people to send me a word or a phrase, and I'll write it into a song. And one of those was I Love You 3000, because the movie just came out. And then I I just like, put it up on my story, and the next day a bunch of people asked me to finish it. And so I did, and then I was just going to record it at home with like my like photo booth camera and stuff. But my mom really liked it, and she said, "Please go in the studio and like record it, and like let's make this legit." And I was like, "Okay." Um, and so we went in the studio. I got a friend of mine to play the guitar because, like I said, my guitar skills weren't that good. And then I literally like put it up. So I used this thing called TuneCore. All you kids, listen up, okay? So that this is basically like if you want to put music up, but you don't have a distributor or a label, you can use TuneCore. This is what I used, and you basically just pay like yearly um, to have a song up, and then you take 100%. I think that's how it works. I think, but that's what I did. And usually, what happens is when you upload a song, you technically like upload it to these music platforms, but then it's not out yet for usually like 2 weeks to a month, maybe in three, and it's to basically give the curators, time to put them in playlists. See, I didn't know anything. So I literally uploaded it, and I chose the quickest date that it would go up, which is 3 days. And so in 3 days it went up. So no playlisters saw it. And they always say like, "Oh my god, if you like put it up like, and you gave us some time, we would have put." And I was like, "I was nobody. You wouldn't know who I was. Like, you wouldn't have put it." But thank you. Um and so that's what happened. And I would say like, so I recorded the music video on my phone. I was like walking around Jakarta and had my sister record it and everything, and I like edited it. And when I put it up on YouTube, so a lot of people actually misremember. I think they think the song blew up on TikTok, but TikTok wasn't really a thing at the time. And so it actually blew up like on YouTube and on music platforms. Like it was through like sharing links and stuff. And so the first 3 days it was up. It had like 10,000 views, and I was like, "Oh my god! Like look at me!" And then in a week it had 1 million, and then in 2 weeks it had like 10 million. So I was like, "Oh, what's happening? Like this is weird." But I remember it was like almost like too crazy of a thing that I didn't really realize what was happening until the 2 week mark. And then I got an email from Genius being like, "Hey, we would love for you to come to LA to do like Genius Verified." And that's like the day I was like, "Oh,
Whoa.
wait a minute, like my life is changing," and I like cried. But that's kind of what happened.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing about that is all the effort was just like pre the song. Basically, like all I had to do was make the video and the song, and I literally did not market it at all.
Yeah.
Like we had zero marketing budget and also like zero marketing effort.
Yeah.
Like I did one Instagram post being like, "I have a song," which now it's like this. Like now, a lot of the effort actually comes like also after, like when the song is out, you're on TikTok posting 1 million like little like
Yeah.
So that's what happened.
When you released that YouTube video and you saw sort of like the metrics behind like who's actually viewing the song and sharing it, like did it start in Indonesia because that's kind of like where you were, or did it start somewhere else?
Yeah, so it started in Indonesia, and I think what really pushed it was a bunch of famous like actors and singers and influencers would like post it on their story like really early on. I think they were like they were trying to be like, if you know, you know, like this is such an underrated song, and like it just came out and I was like nobody. And that's how it started. And I remember like that's where when somebody would post, that's where I would get the most like influx of views. And so I think it was just like, this is why I really, really appreciate the Indonesian community, because in a way, I think they all like riled up um, to try to like have this song be listened to people outside of Indonesia as well, because it was in English. Um, and then, yeah, I think I started like on Spotify, it started being put on like viral top something or like top 50, like the Philippines, Thailand, like stuff like that. And I remember like after a month, it was number one on global viral. And that's when I was like, oh, it's not just Indonesia. Like I could actually like go to the US for this, which I ended up doing.
And when you say that like you distributed the song through TuneCore, was that something that you just kind of stumbled upon because there were no because I guess the traditional thought is I have to get signed to a label, I got to get a deal, and then they put my record out on all the platforms and that kind of stuff. And then sort of like, what does that mean for you in terms of owning 100% of your song? Is that like a huge difference than sort of going the other route with the major labels and that type of thing?
Yeah. Well, okay. If it was 5 years ago, my advice would be completely different, because 5 years ago, um, labels used to sign people who had no songs out, you know? And now it's like, they literally say to you, like, we can't, like, if we signed you, like, we can't do anything. Like, you kind of have to be, you have to do it all yourself, and then we'll sign you, and then we'll just help pay for, labels now are more like banks, like, they help you pay for things. Um, so I definitely, all my friends are indie. I'm like indie now. Honestly, it's a slay. It's very fun. Um, Also, just like, like you get indie rates. I think please respect people's rates. Okay, please don't try to lowball producers and writers. But you get indie rates, which is nice, which is usually half of how much they ask for if you were with a label. Um, and yeah, basically I didn't sign with a label at the start, even though I could. Like I said, I had connection through my mom, and there were people who were like interested, but I basically said I wanted to go to college. So this is like 2018. I was like, hey, I'm gonna have take a gap year, but I'm gonna go to college in a year. I got into University of British Columbia in Canada, and I'm gonna go.
Aww.
And I didn't end up going. So I have a year to do music, and no label. Sorry, it's my cat. No label wanted to sign me. Obviously, they were like, "Why would we sign you if you're only going to be doing music for a year?" And so I was like, "You're so right." So I was just like indie the whole time. And TuneCore, I think it was my brother. Oh, okay. Sorry, that was my cat feeding, as you can tell. But basically, TuneCore I found through my brother. I think so my brother's a DJ, and he had a lot of friends who were DJs putting stuff out, and they all use TuneCore. So I gotta recommend TuneCore.
Nice. So, like I noticed that you said you're indie and you love it. It slays. I'm sure you still have opportunity to get major label backing and all of that stuff. Does that not interest you still?
So, like, being indie is slay. Not to say being with a label isn't slay. Because when I was with 88 Rising, it was amazing. I have a really good relationship with them. They have been so amazing throughout my whole career. I don't think I would be here without them. And I actually really recommend 88 Rising for up and coming artists. They have a really good team, and I think they do a lot for the community. So shout out 88 Rising. Our time has just kind of passed. Like, our contract ended. Like I said, a lot of things in music is legal stuff, and I think a lot of people assume it has more to do with emotions or drama, but I'm like, our contract just ended, you know? And but I still work with them all the time. They still put me in sessions. They're the best.
Awesome.
Shout out 88 Rising. And I had a great time with them. The biggest difference was when I was with them, the positive was that you know, we had a budget for everything, and so they were able to give me, like, I didn't have to look at my bank account and see it go down, because like I said, it's like a bank. Like, you pay them with your royalties. A possible downside would be you basically have to get permission from multiple people to release a song. And 88 never really did this. Like, they kind of let me do whatever I want. But, you know, I've heard my friends in labels who say, like, yeah, because they have their biggest artists putting an album out, they basically have all the other artists on hold. And that sucks, because you also get bored of your own songs, you know? Because, like, imagine you wrote the song, you really want it out, but then they tell you have to wait 6 months. At that point, what if you don't believe in it anymore? What if it was a love song and you broke up with the person you love? Like, you don't want to put it out anymore, you know? So that's like a fear I have. It wasn't something I had to deal with, but I'm scared that if I do sign with another label, that is something I have to deal with. So if I do sign with a label, it would definitely be an indie label and not like a major label, because also having like small team of A&Rs is actually better, because then they like actually like advocate for you. But yeah, now what I'm looking for is actually publishing, so which is a whole other thing. It's like a label, but more so for writers and producers.
There you go. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's incredible. I think that's kind of like a little bit of a blueprint. I know Russ, he talks about that a lot. Like, he talks about TuneCore and how he was able to sort of make a song a week and just put it out on TuneCore, and then just somehow the songs that are good, they find their way to the people. And I think that's very telling of good songs that you write and stuff. So Astrologically, Illogical was written in collaboration with Jason Suito. What were the initial creative conversations that took place about that song? And how did you work together to get it to the finish line?
Yeah, so Jason is also Indonesian, so shout out Jason. But we got connected through, like, I was looking for a new manager, and there was this one guy, Usle, and he was like, yo, I really think you should go in with this guy, Jason. But I think we had certain sessions set up, but he used to live like 2 hours away, and I didn't have a car, so I was like, I'm not gonna Uber for 2 hours for a man. But then, so this one ended up being like that said manager like drove me. So it was a great thank you to that guy. But so we came in, Jason was great. We bonded a lot about being Indonesian, and basically he was just like one of those people who like played every instrument, which I love because I don't. And so we just kind of went through his like little loop folder. Which is my favorite thing to do now, is to actually just get loops. I am a homebody. I would rather not leave the house. And if a producer wants to work with me and like the vibes aren't there or it's too far, like send me a loop pack. You know, I love a good loop. A lot of my songs are just written through there. But yeah, he had like a loop of the guitar. And then I just started like basically riffing on the mic. And I was just trying to think of a concept, and I actually remembered a couple days ago, I was like curious if me and my boyfriend was like compatible, like astrologically. And it said like we were the most incompatible. It was literally like, do not. And I was like, what? And so I just wanted to write something about that because I thought it was so funny. Like a lot of my songs are just like funny things that happen. Like, you know, not everything is the most meaningful. There are some meaningful songs, but not all of them. And so, yeah, he basically just like built on the loop while I made the song, and then that's kind of how it happened. The original vibe and references I gave were definitely a lot more like indie alt. But then when it reached my team in '88, they were like, we think this would be really cool if we like made it a little bit more pop, a little bit more radio. And so we got Rob Grimaldi, who is this amazing producer, and he basically like popified it. And that's kind of what happened. And like a lot of people use demo vocals, aka like vocals they take in the studio. I hate that. I hate that so much. I sound so bad in the studio because I don't care. So I like brought it home, recorded it all.
Ooh.
On my at-home mic and stuff, and then that's just how it happened.
Wow.
Because I do not want to leave the house today.
Yeah. So cool. Yeah. I mean, speaking of leaving the house, you describe yourself as socially awkward in a lot of the write-ups that I read about you, and you actually kind of like tailored a song called Invited in 2023, and one of the lyrics go on to say, I don't want to go, I just want to be invited, which is a very quirky line, and I love it. What, like, do you think being socially awkward, because I feel like I'm the same way, and G.NA will probably tell you the same. Does it come with the territory of being an artist, like a songwriter, producer? That's one of the questions. And what are some event invitations that would make you jump up and get up and go?
Yeah, I think you have to be a bit of a homebody if you were a producer, because a lot of the times people come over to your place, and if you hate your place, you're miserable. But I used to be a huge extrovert, and I think I still am in a sense. Like I think I'm more like I'm ENFP, but it's more so that just like I'd rather hang out at my place,
On my turf.
Exactly. And I think it has a lot to do with the car. I'm gonna be honest, I get car sick so easily. So honestly, if I could walk to a coffee shop, I would. I will. I'd rather not drive to one. But in terms of Invited, it actually was originally a pitch song. Like I wanted to write a song for like Dove Cameron or something, and everybody in the team just ended up liking it. And they're like, Stephanie, why don't you just put it out? And I was like, honestly, yeah, because it's like what I'm saying is kind of true. Like, I think I don't know if it comes with being extroverted, but I definitely put a lot of self-worth on my friends and how much I mean to them, which is very unhealthy. Do not do that. But yeah, I like found that sometimes I don't want to go. I just want to be included in their thoughts.
Yeah,
Totally. So that's what the song's about. And the socially awkward part, I think I'm not as socially awkward as most people like who are. But I feel like it's a mask. Like I think I'm really good at mask. But yeah, I definitely, especially after COVID, I'm not as good at interacting with strangers anymore. Yeah, I would say.
I totally get that. Yeah, so if G.NA were to call you and be like, "Hey, girl, I'm gonna be at the museum today. You want to join me?" Like, would you go, or would you not go?
Maybe not the museum, but we actually play a beach volleyball every weekend. Yeah. So if you guys want to go to beach volleyball with me, it's in Santa Monica.
Hey, that's pretty social activity, beach volleyball.
Yeah, and top golf. We do a lot of top golf. So anything that requires you to move your body, I will go, because like high school, I was in every sports team known to man, and then COVID, I was a limp little like piece of nothing. So now I'm just trying to do as much activity as I can. So bowling, top golf, volleyball.
She approves. She's down. Cool. Well, yeah, that's awesome that you've been able to, I guess get your groove back, so to speak. I wanted to ask you another question about kind of like your creative process or creative sort of zone. And you kind of started, you did start your journey in Indonesia, and just kind of like putting out songs and then blowing up, and now you're in LA, right? Um, have you noticed any differences in terms of where you get your inspiration from? Like from Indonesia to LA, totally different vibes, right? Do you notice a difference in the music that you create because of that?
I think so. It's a little bit hard to say because when I wasn't still in Indonesia, it was like COVID times. So a lot of the stuff I write was about COVID times. And when I am back, I don't really write stuff just because I want to really spend time with my family. Um, but, I definitely would see myself writing about different things um, just because LA is like the hub for creatives, and you end up finding yourself with a lot of different people with different stories, and a lot of the time, you don't write, you're not always writing songs about yourself. And so being here, I think there would be different inspirations. But Indonesia is also a very traditional country, and I would call myself somebody who definitely follows like a lot of traditions when I'm there. And so I think I would not
Mm.
swear in my songs if I was living in Indonesia. I genuinely think I would be like so uncomfortable having to swear on stage there. Whereas here, I'm like a sailor, so that's definitely like a huge thing. Just like how people are a little bit more conservative there. I would definitely put that in mind.
Got it. Gotcha. Cool. Okay. Well, you've been so awesome up to this point. So transparent, so giving, and so cool. Um, we're at our last question in our main interview section, and then we're gonna have G.NA coming up. But the last question from me is, what advice would you give to young artists who look up to you and aspire to make their mark as an accomplished singer songwriter like yourself?
Well, first, thank you for all the kind stuff you guys said about me. I
No
needed that.
worries.
But I think, there's a lot of talented people who will give you really good advice about music. I think the best thing I can tell is more so about how you carry yourself and how kindness goes a long way. I think, there are some successful people um, that aren't so kind, but just know that everybody doesn't like them in the industry. So I think just be nice to people. Just understand that everybody, like it's like just like you said, have their own path, and don't judge people. I think everybody has their own stories and own reasons. And when you're an artist, it's super easy to surround yourself with yes men. Okay, never do that, because then you end up just like spiraling into like a shell of a person who just does whatever makes them happy, but everybody else is being like yeah, yeah, and so you just end up hurting other
Mm.
people without realizing it. So I think just be mindful of who you're friends with, be mindful of the way you treat people who are still up and coming. And if you're somebody who is up and coming, like try not to see people as ladders, because I definitely see that sometimes where um, you know you're interested in hanging out with someone just because they're like famous or something. Like, do not do that, because that's how you become the yes man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, just like be very mindful of the people you surround yourself with and how you behave, because um, something mean you said when you're young can really like catch up to you when you're older. So just remember, be nice and don't gossip too much.
That's so awesome. I'm gonna all of those points we're gonna put as captions on your screen in big fonts, like "Be nice, don't gossip." Thank you so much. That's my time with you. We're gonna transition over to
Thank you.
G.NA, and I'm going to mute myself and go away.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
But I'll be back.
Okay. Yeah, he's here. Don't worry. Oh, Stephanie, you are amazing. I absolutely enjoyed it. It was so like it felt like such a breath of fresh air because your honesty just exuded throughout the interview, and I am so very grateful for that because honestly, I think a lot older than you, but I think I've learned more than a thing or two through this interview. So thank you for making me feel something as well. Anyway,
Great,
so we're
thank you, G.NA. Appreciate that. You look my age, by the way, so I'm just telling you.
I'm almost 40. Isn't that crazy? Anyways, I'm just like rounding the numbers up. But thank you. Can you make sure you keep that in there? Anyways, okay. So I'm gonna go into our Gina's rapid fire round. It's gonna be quick, but you can elaborate on the questions. I mean, the answers if you want to as well. So feel free. Okay. So here we go to our last segment of the interview called Gina's Rapid Fire Round. Let's go. Woohoo. Okay, number 1. What DAW do you use and why?
Ableton Live, because I like the colors.
Woohoo. Number 2. Favorite plugins?
Oh, Contact, because I can't play instruments.
That's awesome. Okay, number 3. What is a sound that always brings you joy?
A sound? Like a musical sound?
Any sound. It could be
any
a baby
sound?
crying, it could be anything.
Oh, my cat's purring.
How did I know? I could hear them through the whole I could hear them making a mess in the background.
They're too loud.
I love it. Okay, number 4, I'm going to break it down a bit, okay? I want you to rate yourself. So, as a music creator, skill sets out of 10 of the following. Okay, so let's start with beat making, 1 out of 10.
2. Not the beats.
It's okay. You have everything else, so it's all good. Okay, number 2, lyric writing.
I give myself a 7.
Yeah, you're actually really good. Anyways. Okay, number 3, sound design.
Oh, 7. I think I can tell people to do it, but I don't know if I can do it myself. But I hear it in my head.
You're gonna be phenomenal, so don't worry. Okay, next one would be mixing.
Oh, a 0.
You can do everything else, so it's fine. Okay, top lining.
Oh, well, it's my favorite thing to do. So I don't think I'm the best at it, but it's the best thing I do. So 10.
Okay, and then we got music theory.
A 1. I don't know anything.
Okay, well, last but not least, surprise, surprise, arranging.
Oh, I would give myself a 5. Because I think I would be a really good vocal producer. And that has a lot to do with arranging. But that's just, I don't know. I could tell people what to do.
I love it. Absolutely. All right, now so number 5 question is, what is your reaction, your facial reaction or expression when you know you've made some heat? Oh my God, this is so good.
Do you know no Chick-fil-A sauce? That's me in a session when somebody goes crazy. I'm like,
oh my goodness, I love it. Oh God, I wish I was there when you make some heat to see that in real time. I swear. All right, number 6. When do you feel 100% happy with a song you made? When do you feel?
I think I hate this. I hate saying this, but when I show my boyfriend and he doesn't say anything bad about it, because my boyfriend. Wait, when is this coming out? This episode.
When do you want it to come out? I'm actually not sure yet.
After mid-April.
Okay, I think we can make that
because we haven't told people his family yet. We're telling them that we got engaged.
No way.
What?
So now my fiance.
Shut the front door.
Oh yeah, I'm an engaged girl. But when I show him a song and he doesn't say anything bad, that's when I know it's a good song.
Oh,
this is the exclusive. God. We got it, G.NA.
Oh my jaws. Okay, I gotta shut my mouth.
So we gotta wait till mid-April, okay, y'all?
We got you.
I don't want his family to know from an interview.
No, honestly, Stephanie, congratulations. I am so happy for you, baby. That is so sweet. I think I'm gonna cry. When's my turn? Huh? I'm kidding. No, I love it.
I believe in you. I believe. Hey.
Thank you. Okay, so God, I lost my train of my mind right now. I don't know what to. Okay, what am I looking at here? Okay, next question. She's engaged. Okay, anyways, number 7, if AI technology was somehow able to take over our jobs as music creators, what new career path would you choose and why?
I mean, AI doesn't have to take, my job just yet because I'm already doing a bunch of new jobs. I started a YouTube channel for arts and crafts, and I got into coding. So I made my first game recently.
What?
I joined a game competition. We had to make a game in 7 days, and I got 29th out of 800 people for my first game. So I'll take it.
What the heck?
So yeah, probably making games and
Holy.
arts on YouTube.
Oh my god, you are so crazy in the most the best way ever. Like you are just so crazy. Like
I need to be distracted, I think, because I get like really bad thoughts if I have nothing to do.
I'm so confused. Oh my gosh, she's like an onion. You peel and peel and peel, and there's just still more to go.
I'm just
Goodness
Shrek,
gracious. Yeah, and you're young, and you're just like engaged, and you're just smart and talented. I mean, that's all, really. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, now I can't believe I'm going to say this, but this is the last question of this whole interview. You gave us such a great interview, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Last but not least is what's next for you, and anything you want to promote.
Yes, so like I said, I'm still putting music out. I have a couple songs I really want to put out. We're just figuring out all the back end stuff because, a lot of music making is also just like figuring out who your mixer is and who's going to master your song, and are you going to put it out through a distributor or what? So we're still figuring that out. But also, this year is the 5-year anniversary of I Love You 3000. So I think we might be releasing just a new celebratory version. But I don't know when that's coming out, but that's going to come out this year. So I hope everybody will check it out when it does come out.
I love it so much, Stephanie. Thank you so much. So if you do a 5-year anniversary, event or re-release of the song again, maybe Korean, Indonesian, different languages would be awesome.
I mean,
사랑해
that would be
3,000번.
amazing. I would say, 감사합니다.
감사합니다. 사랑해 3,000번. Sorry, that sounds so funny in Korean. I literally said, I love you 3,000 in Korean, and it just sounded not as cool as it did in English, I think, but I still love it.
I think you just need to sing it, instead of say it, G.NA.
Oh,
you have to sing
it.
it.
It is.
Yeah.
I love you 3,000. 사랑해 3,000번. Sorry, I made it into throat. Sorry, my bad. I'm getting old. Okay, anyways, thank you so much for joining us. I am so happy you joined us. As I said it 3,000 times 6. Sorry, no pun intended. We hope to stay in touch with you. And Elmo, I know you're super happy with the interview too, right? Oppa?
Yeah, totally.
Ajashi?
This was awesome.
I hope.